For some reason, it hasn't felt like Christmas this year. Maybe it's because it's still hot enough to wear shorts in December. Maybe it's because I didn't put a tree up until less than 2 weeks before Christmas. What could I do to get into the holiday spirit? TV never let me down. Let the holiday cartoon binge watch begin. Without further ado, here's my totally subjective top 10 cartoon Christmas special list. Just so you know, there will be spoilers. I'm basically recapping episodes with my own thoughts sprinkled in. Well, you've been warned. Number 10, American Dad Rapture's Delight. Another American Dad episode that begins with Stan berating his family with his holier-than-thou act and ends with his newfound appreciation for them. Rapture's Delight is technically a Christmas episode as it's bookended with parallel scenes on Christmas Eve. As I said, it starts out with Stan being an ass as the family attends a Christmas Eve sermon. Everyone gets raptured with the exception of Stan, Francine, and Roger. Stan's selfish obsession with getting raptured pushes Francine to leave him, and she ends up dating Jesus. Yes, that Jesus. Fast forward 7 years, and Armageddon is in full swing. Francine gets abducted by the Antichrist, who is literally just the Riddler. Now a rugged bounty hunter, Stan teams up with Jesus to save her. I personally loved this episode. At the time, it was definitely one of the most fantastical. Also, I just want to point out how on brand it is that Roger is rebuilding his spaceship inside of an abandoned anthropology. Number 9, DuckTales, Last Christmas. Perhaps the most iconic role for Scrooge McDuck is Mickey's Christmas Carol. The DuckTales Christmas special puts an interesting twist on the classic tale. The three time ghosts visit Scrooge for their annual tradition of party hopping through time. Dewey hitches a ride and jumps off at the manor circa 1998. Can't have a good party without some drama. Scrooge gets in a fight with Past, stealing the time umbrella. He bounces, leaving Past stranded. Cut to Dewey. He meets an emo Donald riddled with teenage angst. Can I just have a quick aside? The first time I saw this episode, it genuinely hurt. When I was growing up, a kids show would have that one episode that featured the parents as kids, and it was always during the 70s. This was the first time I've seen a show depict my generation. It was in that instance I felt old. Anyway, Dewey's stoked because he finally gets his chance to meet his long-lost mom. She's pissed at Donald for being too emo, but Dewey manages to play mediator and everyone's friends again. They get attacked by a Wendigo, basically a desolate spirit. He's shouting, "Wendigo," as in, when did he go? As in, when is Scrooge? Because wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. Scrooge pops in and pops off. The creature is defeated, and lo and behold, it's none other than Past. They make up, Past recovers from a century-long trauma in seconds, and they go home. Then it ends with a super sweet moment between Donald and Dewey. Number 8, Rugrats, a Rugrats Hanukkah. I still remember this episode from when I was a kid. I was a huge Rugrats fan. The Hanukkah special was one of the first of its kind, and this was such a great way to teach children about Hanukkah. The adults in the show are teaching the babies, but also the writers of the show were teaching me, the kid, the viewer. They successfully told a significant story in an entertaining way. The hyper-realistic snapshot of the babies fighting literally made me laugh out loud. Also, Stu is just such a delight. Love him. With the help of the babies and the magic of Hanukkah, the episode ends with Tommy's grandpa reconciling with an old rival. They'd both spent decades being jealous of each other's lives. The way the story comes together in the end is absolutely touching. Number 7, Family Guy. A very special Family Guy frickin' Christmas. This episode was the only Christmas special from the show's original run, which, in my ever so humble opinion, the first 3 seasons are peak Family Guy. It's a cynical parody of classic made-for-TV holiday specials. It begins in the town square during the annual lighting of the giant Christmas tree. An optimistic Lois is filled with the holiday spirit as she gazes up at the star. Then, a little foreshadowing as a belligerent Peter crashes his car into the manger. As the plot progresses, disaster upon disaster befall the Griffins' Christmas. Meanwhile, an overworked, underappreciated Lois finally snaps, activates King Kong mode, and goes on a rampage. The climax takes place back where we started, the town square. This episode does a great job showing the dichotomy of Christmas. On the one hand, the season is just fun and perfect. Presents, cookies, getting smashed with your friends, cheesy TV specials. As an aside, Kiss Save Santa is amazing and almost acts as a B-plot with how it's spliced up throughout the episode. On the other hand, an exhausted Lois is the glue holding everything together in an attempt to preserve the holiday magic for her family, while Peter takes no accountability for his actions. There's something to be said about the representation of typical gender roles in the American nuclear family. Peter is off work, therefore his responsibilities for the year are over, whereas Lois takes on the emotional and physical burdens of the holiday. It's the classic sitcom thing where the mother/wife's purpose and identity is as an extension of the family. Number 6, King of the Hill, living on Reds, vitamin C, and propane. As someone who's only lived in the Deep South, I appreciate the depiction of a verdant winter where sweaters are optional and the AC is still running. It's easy to forget this episode takes place during the Christmas season. It starts out following a funeral. Hank's mom inherits a bunch of vintage furniture but has no way to haul it from Texas to Arizona. Wanting to live out a certain fantasy, Hank rents a big rig. The plan? Father and son are going to get their haul to Grandma's house by Christmas. The story itself is pretty straightforward until things start going wrong. Unbeknownst to Hank, his idiot friends stow away in the back. He learns of this in the most humiliating and public way possible. He's mocked by quote-unquote real truckers for cosplaying as one of them. His confidence is shot. In an attempt to make up for their actions and make up for lost time, his friends commandeer the semi while Hank sleeps. This goes about as well as you'd expect. Hank wakes up on top of a mountain, battery dead, tank empty. Due to his resourcefulness and the help of his friends, he manages to maneuver down the steep, winding slope. I will say, it is nice to see Bill the Bulldozer Dauterive get a win, especially after watching a couple of the other Christmas episodes that center around how lonely and pathetic he is. Anyway, with disaster averted, they roll up to a truck stop, exhausted. After hearing their struggle on the radio, Hank finally gets respect from the other truckers. He did it! He arced! It's heartwarming without being overly sappy. They're helped out on the last leg of the trip as part of a trucker caravan in order to finish their haul in time. Number 5, regular show, the Christmas special. I'm imagining Cartoon Network demanded a Christmas episode from the writers of regular show, to which the writers replied, "Okay, we'll make a Christmas special, but we're gonna make it cool." The so-named Christmas special starts out as every regular show episode does, and that's quite, well, regular. It's the annual holiday party at the park, and the party itself is pretty mid. Whatever, people are having a good time, but it's not blasting anyone's nips off. Mordecai and Rigby go on a soda run, and who should come crashing down out of the sky? Well, Santa Claus, of course. The general premise is an evil elf created a present out of dark magic, a present that corrupts the receiver by filling them with overwhelming greed. Santa wasn't too keen on that, so he wants it destroyed. Out for revenge, Evil Elf wants to use its power to destroy Christmas. With the stakes high, Santa reluctantly tasks Mordo and Riggs with the present's destruction. So the park workers team up and travel to Mordor. On the way, everyone gets a chance to shine, except High Five Ghost, who's really just an extension of Muscle Man, as they overcome various booby traps. I love the intensity of the climax. This feels like a full-on, high-stakes action movie coupled with Trans-Siberian Orchestra's Christmas metal. Though the fact that this is happening to a bunch of anthropomorphic animals and a talking gumball machine keeps it lighthearted. Honestly, it borders on the absurdity, but I love it. This episode is a fun ride, but I want to give a shout out to the ending of the White Elephant episode. It's a fantastic payoff. Number 4, Futurama, Xmas Story. Fry is feeling homesick for Christmas and the family he left behind in the 20th century. This incites the Planet Express crew to celebrate their distinct version of Xmas. Fry's moping upsets Leela, who, as an orphan, always spent the holiday alone. To cheer her up, Fry leaves to search for the perfect gift. To everyone else's horror, turns out Xmas in the 30th century has a murderous robotic Santa Claus, voiced by John Goodman, who guns down anyone he deems naughty, which is practically everyone. As Fry and Leela run for their lives, they discover that they're a little less lonely together. The OG Futurama really was something special, wasn't it? Over a decade later, as well as several rewatches, this episode still holds up. It's a unique concept, the humor is solid, it's worth watching even outside the holiday season. Number 3, Wander Over Yonder, The Gift 2, The Giftening. If you haven't seen Wander Over Yonder, I highly recommend it. It's by Craig McCracken, who also created Powerpuff Girls and Fosters. It's very reminiscent of Looney Tunes. Personally, I think the episode The Gift 2, The Giftening is the most creative on this list. So, let me ask you, what comes to mind when you think of quote-unquote Christmas special? Is it atmospheric horror? This episode is technically a 2-part special where part 2 originally aired 2 months prior to part 1. The Gift 2, The Giftening, starts out with the titular character Wander and his partner Sylvia as they infiltrate Lord Hater's ship to spread some holiday cheer. And by that I mean an infestation has broken out on the ship as, one by one, the watchdogs succumb to this quote-unquote happiness outbreak. It's basically the movie Alien. Commander Peepers attempts to keep it contained, but eventually becomes infected too. That just leaves Lord Hater as the last man standing when Wander and Sylvia reveal a gift with his name on it. The episode ends with the watchdogs coming to rescue Hater. He's super impressed by their competence, only to find out, in a cruel twist of fate, that this is only a result of Wander's gifts. Before I move on to the next one, I'd be remiss not to mention part 1. The gift serves as the season 1 finale. In this episode, the point of view flips back to our heroes as they deliver gifts all across the galaxy. It's basically an epilogue that features characters seen throughout the past season. It's also the conclusion to part 2. Now that Hater has an awesome legion of watchdogs, he launches a full-scale invasion on an unsuspecting local village that's totally not Whoville. But to his dismay, they invade with kindness and presence of their own. Number 2, Bob's Burgers, The Plight Before Christmas. There are some fantastic Bob's Burgers Christmas episodes, like that one that's just Steven Spielberg's Duel, or the Underground Millionaire Gingerbread House competition, but The Plight Before Christmas is definitely the most emotionally impactful. Basically, all 3 Belcher kids have some kind of Christmas event scheduled at the same time on the same night. But there's only 2 parents. Always a little prankster, Louise ends up being the kid that gets left out. Tina's the first to realize that the poem Louise wrote may actually be genuine, but now everyone's tied up. Linda gets roped into being a stage mom at Tina's pageant, while Bob slips out of Jean's recital in a desperate and disastrous attempt to reach the library. Just before a melancholy Louise takes the podium, she looks out and sees that Tina showed up for her. There's just something about the eldest sibling showing up for the youngest that really gets to me. There's one last thought that I wanted to add. This episode shows the magic in the mundane. It's such a great depiction of familial love and the efforts one takes to simply show up for those they care about. Number 1, Hey Arnold, Arnold's Christmas. No matter how many times I've seen this episode, it never fails to make me cry. There's a reason this is consistently in the number 1 spot. Basically, Arnold draws Mr. Wynn's name as Secret Santa. In pursuit of a gift idea, he learns that about 20 years ago, Mr. Wynn was separated from his infant daughter. The American soldiers could only rescue one more person from a war-torn Vietnam, so, of course, Mr. Wynn begged for them to take her. It took him 20 years before he was finally able to immigrate to the country, to the exact city that she was taken to. But he's had no luck in finding her. Arnold, filled with determination, goes downtown to appeal to the city archivist, who's working late on Christmas Eve. They strike a deal. Arnold and his friend Gerald will do the archivist's last-minute Christmas shopping. In exchange, he'll look up My Win. They successfully grab everything, except the long, sold-out, highly covetable Nancy Spumoni signature snow boots. No boots, no deal. Dismayed, they return to the boarding house. Meanwhile, Helga, the bully that constantly negs Arnold because she's secretly in love with him, has spent all night searching for the perfect gift for him. While out shopping, she learns of his plight, but fails to find that perfect gift. Defeated, she returns home. Her mom sees her forlorn mood and prompts her to open a present early. Lo and behold, it's the last pair of Nancy Spumoni signature snow boots in the city. Helga is overjoyed, but then crushed by a moral dilemma. The episode concludes with a knock on the door, followed by a heartfelt reunion between father and daughter. This story stands out in a sea of cheesy holiday specials that kinda all boil down to, it's not the presents, but the people who matter. This story is real, raw, human. It's grounded in a way that gives the viewer empathy. There you have it. My top 10 Christmas episodes. Hooray! Sorry things got a little heavy toward the end. I hope you're doing okay. Feel free to let me know if you were like, ugh, I can't believe you didn't include blank. I tried to come up with a list that didn't require prior knowledge of whatever show it came from, like Adventure Time's Holly Jolly Secrets is an emotional banger. But the impact kinda depends on the viewer's familiarity with the Ice King. Anyway, thanks for watching my silly little video.